Hi, this is my vlog 8 for the class. I am going to be talking about the movie It Follows. So It Follows is a film that came out in 2014 and it was directed by David Robert Mitchell. This film was distributed by Radius, and this film starred Malika Monroe, who has recently starred in Longlegs, and she will also be in the sequel called They Follow. I believe it comes out sometime next year. It also stars Kira Gilchrist and Danny Zovato. This movie had a very low budget of $1.3 million, but it ended up making $23.3 million. It was a very successful movie. So for the premise of this movie, it follows Jay, a college girl who hooks up with her older boyfriend and then gets passed along this monster demon thing who's invisible and will walk towards her until she has sex with someone else and will try to kill her. Jay, her sister, their friends Paul and Zara, are trying to help her and solve the mystery and try to figure out how to kill it and also if it's real, as Jay is the only one who can see it. She tries passing it along to one of their other friends, but then he inevitably gets killed by it, and then it comes back to haunt her and try to kill her, as that's part of the curse, as if you don't pass along successfully, it'll come back to you. Eventually, they shoot the monster in a very dramatic pool scene, and the monster is supposedly killed. And at the end of the movie, we see some romance between Jay and Paul as they get together, end up hooking up. And then the last shot is them holding hands and walking down the street, and then it changes, it goes back to them, and then the monster is in fact following them. So it's kind of unclear if they're still being hunted by it or not, but there is a sequel, so I think we'll find out more of it then. So the point of this movie is the consequences and kind of the guilt that can come up when you have sex, as well as loss of innocence, morality, and death. So the demon only comes along and comes out when it gets past you when you have sex with someone else. It's a very similar metaphor to STDs, as well as any sexually transmitted disease, anything like that, as it can get passed along to you, and then you have to deal with those consequences. She didn't know that this was going to happen to her, but it inevitably did. It also deals with loss of innocence in the sense of she loses her innocence when she has sex, and then she has this demon and this monster that is following her, and she's really trying to stray away from this demon and is trying to do everything she can to not end up dying from it. It was a very freaky movie. It had a very good setup. I really enjoyed this movie. And I really enjoyed the suspense and those kind of elements of it because you didn't know what it looked like. It would appear randomly, and it's in the fact that it was only her that was able to see it coming at her, and everyone a little bit thought she was crazy was a good element of it as well. In terms of iconography, this movie had a lot of shape-shifting, as well as she was seen in the hospital. And yeah, it was a very violent movie, but it had a lot of suspense and a lot of buildup that I really liked it. I think also the idea of it happening randomly to you, as well as being in your own home, that is inherently very scary. And the fact that it could appear wherever she was. So yeah, those are kind of the horror elements of it. So this movie did not really have any apparent queerness in the relationships, but it did have the other element, who was seen as the demon or the monster. The monster and everything in itself is very sexual. The fact that it gets passed along like sex, like STDs, and the fear of passing it to someone else. She obviously does not want to pass it to someone else, but she ends up having to in order to even try to get it away from her. And I think another metaphor for queerness and passing along queerness is having it be passed along through sex and having this monster that follows you around that's hidden. It's a hidden away part of you, and no one else knows it's there except for you. So yeah, that's kind of the queerness of the film. We've talked about in class on how a lot of the horror movies have the trope of if you have sex, something awful is going to happen to you, and that is very apparent in this film, as the only people who end up getting this monster, this thing that follows them, are people who have sex. So that kind of idea has been passed along into this movie. We've talked about a lot in other horror movies about how if you have sex, something bad is going to happen to you, or you're going to get murdered or things like that. So that's one of the class concepts that is seen in this movie. Overall, I really enjoyed this movie. I've seen it before, but it's just a very freaky movie, and it's a fun watch, and it's very suspenseful, which is something I really liked. And it's also an interesting concept of it being similar to an STD and it being passed along through sex. When I was looking on Letterboxd afterwards, I saw someone call it a sexually transmitted demon, which I thought really encapsulated what it is and how it acts. I really also enjoyed the development of the characters. We really got to know them and got to know kind of their relationships with each other. And they were in it for most of the film. And we just got to learn a lot about them all throughout. So yeah, overall, I really enjoyed this movie. And yeah, thank you.